Good morning, and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. Well, summer officially arrived Thursday afternoon, so hopefully your summer is off to a good start. And welcome back to Missoula Real Estate Today. And welcome back to a guest that's been almost 2 years now. My goodness. Melanie Brock, Executive Director of Missoula Midtown Association. Welcome back to the show, Melanie.
Thank you, Denny. It's so good to be back with you.
Yeah, I imagine some things have changed in the, 22 months since you've been here. So excited to hear about that. We better do a get reacquainted with you, though. Your duties with the Missoula Midtown Association.
You bet. I'm the executive director there, and we are largely a volunteer organization of residents and businesses in the Midtown area, and that is the area. Southgate Mall and the Missoula Fairgrounds are our anchors, but we consider the Midtown District to start at Mount Avenue and go down to 39th Street and be bordered on the east by Higgins and the west on Reserve Street. There's 15,000 Missoulians who live in that central part, about 3 square miles in center of Missoula. And we have been doing multiple years of planning to help guide the redevelopment and growth of Midtown, as there has been so many exciting things happening here. And our Midtown Master Plan was a countywide effort, and it has been adopted by the city and the county, and now we are off on implementation.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. And I guess I was going to ask you about a radio roadmap. I guess I did not realize that it encompassed that much area. Has the Missoula Midtown Association, has it grown, or did you start at those numbers? Or
no,
have you conquered other associations, or what have you been doing?
No. We've been around for over a decade, and the association started when the city and county were talking about a reconfiguration of what we like to call Midtown Junction, because we have taken the malfunction out of Midtown, but that is that very interesting Brooks-Russell South intersection.
Oh, yeah.
So the association formed when residents and businesses in the area wanted to have a strong voice. And it has since been the advocacy organization and grassroots networking organization for the 15,000 residents 15,000 residents in the area, but also there's 14,000 Missoulians who work in Midtown who don't live there. So it very much is this has been this auto-centric area where people either pass through to get to other places, or there are major employers like Allegiance Benefit Plan Management and Community Medical Center. And of course, Midtown is well known as one of all of our favorite retail hubs with Southgate Mall,
right,
and now a year-round event center. If you have not been to the Missoula Fairgrounds lately, you are missing out. There have been millions of dollars of improvements.
I have. I went and saw the butterflies.
Nice.
Yes, and I was asked to call bingo in the Home Arts Building last summer. I think I'm doing it again this summer sometime for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and they held it in that Home Arts Building. And I hadn't seen the Home Arts Building since they totally renovated. There's some impressive structures out there.
It's incredible. And the Western Montana Fair is so popular, drawing hundreds of thousands of people now. And they have cell phone data to prove that up to 75,000 people are showing up per day, that they are adding back Tuesday to the Western Montana Fair. So
I did not know that.
Yes, it's going to start on Tuesday, the second actually the first Tuesday of August, and go through Sunday. And they're bringing in big rodeo programming and just elongating that week because it's become so popular.
Yeah, I was just in such a mindset of Tuesday being kind of the official, unofficial start of the fair. In years past, they don't charge admission now anyway, but in years past, Tuesday was always kind of the freebie, I don't know, the warm-up day or something, and it went away. It's great to hear that it's back.
It's back.
Yeah. Well, that many people, I mean, people who live there and people who work there, I guess the answer is fairly obvious, but 10 years now, why did organizers see a need for a Missoula Midtown Association? How did all that get started?
You know, that the public process along the redirecting of traffic around Midtown Junction was the impetus. But as Midtown has grown and there is an opportunity to increase housing density, and residents have talked about the livability and walkability of the district needing to have more attention. We have grown as an organization, and we have hundreds of Missoulians show up at our meetings and our celebrations. We do block parties and really work on placemaking. Pride in your neighborhood, in your district, is such an important thing. And having pride in Midtown and focusing time and attention into having the business leaders and residents drive the vision as Missoula as a community grows, but drive how Midtown in particular absorbs that growth. We know we have a lot of opportunity with some of the last open fields that are ready for development. And then we also have incredible green space. That Central Park area, that's that whole encompassing acreage of Playfair Park, the MCPS quadrant in that northeast section, the fairgrounds, the YMCA. There's so much redevelopment happening. So that master plan effort was, let's hit pause and talk about what we want to see happen. And that's where we are now. We're implementing that. Some really interesting things came out of that process. Over 1,000 Missoulians showed up in different ways, whether coming to a charrette or a focus group or filling something out online. But we now have a roadmap for how we want to see Midtown change or stay the same in some ways. There's some things that we don't want to change about Midtown. Is some of our auto-centric pieces. People like that they can park right by the store they're going to in Midtown. Parking is always considered one of Midtown's greatest assets. But being able to walk in between stores, now that has been more challenging. East-west connectivity, crossing Brooks, the highway that runs through it, is a huge issue that is continuing to be studied, and we will be hearing soon what the city's vision may be for how we can increase permeability of Brooks.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest, Melanie Brock, Executive Director of the Missoula Midtown Association. And most people know there's a Missoula Downtown Association with its long history. And you've been at it, I think you said 10 years. But did you develop any of your business model for your members after theirs? How are you different? How are you the same?
Absolutely. The Downtown Association was formed decades ago when there was blight downtown. There was an urban renewal district formed to eliminate blight and TIF funding put into investing into buildings downtown. And because of that, downtown is this vibrant event center. It's housing and commerce and professional services. And it's because of that work of the Downtown Association that drove that. So here we are. We do have blight in Midtown and the largest and healthiest urban renewal district. So in a lot of ways, we are working along that path. We saw the Downtown Association do 2 master planning processes. So this was absolutely following that playbook of having a concentrated public process. We differ in that we don't have full-time staff. We are not a bricks and mortar association or big organization like the Chamber. We are absolutely startup style for a reason. We are a volunteer-led organization. I am a contracted executive director helping to guide and get the board's directives done in a quick manner. But we also don't intend to be on that trajectory of having a huge office and 10 staffers. We get a lot done being exactly the size we are, nimble and lean.
If I like that, nimble and lean. If you brought some business owners in with you to speak to the benefits of being Missoula Midtown Association members, what would they say to us? And I guess maybe on another show, we probably should have you bring some of those folks in.
You bet. I think
what would they tell you? Or tell us, I should say.
There'd be widespread excitement. You know, there's over $100 million of reinvestment happening in Midtown right now. One of our largest title sponsors and members is First Security Bank, and they're finishing up their $24 million building north of Southgate Mall as their world headquarters, as I like to call it. Their Midtown World Headquarters is almost done, and that's an incredible reinvestment that is sparking already. We're seeing purchases of properties up and down South Avenue West. The Midtown Master Plan called for a festival street on that first block of South Avenue West, ways to activate farmers markets outside. We have a very healthy and exciting farmers market inside the Southgate Mall on Saturday mornings all winter long.
Yes, yeah.
That draws a ton of people to Southgate Mall. Southgate Mall, we are so lucky to have that lifestyle anchor. We have Washington Prime as the parent company truly invested in making it be something for everyone there and not just retail. You can go and get a mammogram at Western Montana Clinic at the mall. You can eat. There's professional services. There's real estate. There are all sorts of facets of life now with a new hardware store. Shields, there's something for everyone at Shields. Any sport in the world, I think you can get a cricket racket. You name it, if they even call it cricket rackets. I'm not even sure. Not a lot of cricket happening in my neighborhood.
No.
But
I do know you can get a good float tube there. That's where I got my last float tube. So.
So I believe Midtown members would talk about the synergy happening right now when the Trempers family reinvests and re-envisions their strip mall that was the Kent Plaza into this new, exciting, changing the orientation and getting the perfect mix of laundromat, nail salon, restaurant, card place. That sparks other landowners, other Midtown members to get excited about their properties and reinvestment. And this is all happening in concentration with the city because we are tapping urban renewal dollars, TIF funding to do some of the public right-of-way improvements. Midtown was Missoula's first suburb, and it's not finished in some areas. We like to say, Midtown's not broke in any way. It's just not finished. There isn't sewer and water infrastructure on all of the streets. So once we're able to partner with the city and put in the infrastructure, the public infrastructure, then small business owners have more leeway to reinvest in their property and go up. We want to see a lot of the first-story buildings go up with mixed use. Right. So this is a really exciting time, and that's where Diane Beck and her team and other realtors come in because they are connecting the excitement and the resources to property owners and to potential property owners. And we're seeing movement all around the district of people buying small parcels and having big dreams for it.
Right. Well, speaking of that realtor gal, Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk HBO. I also say thanks to a couple of the marketing partners that also help put the show on the air. That would be Miles Link at Opportunity Bank of Montana and Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage. And back to my guest, Melanie Brock, Executive Director of the Missoula Midtown Association. You mentioned this when we got started there, Melanie, but membership is open to not just businesses in the area, right? Homeowners, other people, anybody who might be interested.
Absolutely. Every month we gather together as members. It's some other place around Midtown. We'll be meeting in August at the fairgrounds, the first night of the fair. We volunteer at the rodeo every year. We absolutely love that fair. And we love the fact that the fairgrounds has become a every single day destination. There's everything from dog shows to roller derbies to ice skating. All of the partners who work at the fairgrounds are our members, and we work closely with them.
The recruiting process, what do you do as executive director to, increase awareness and generate more interest in joining the Missoula Midtown Association?
Well, part of it is, talking to the businesses that already exist. We're seeing businesses thrive in downtown and then open a second shop in Midtown. So the Dram Shop is an example of this. Big Dipper is an example of this. These are our members who see that they can grow their business downtown. Pangea Restaurant Group is a great example. Scott Bilodeau and his partners just opened 2 new restaurants in Midtown, Elote and the Liquid Planet Grill. They already had Liquid Planet inside the Book Exchange in the Trempers Plaza, but this is what we want to see more of, and we do all that we can to support. We also go and particularly reach out to landowners who have aging commercial properties and talk about how can we incentivize and partner with you to redevelop that property so we can get more business into it. There is a very low 2% or less commercial vacancy in Midtown, and it is where a lot of businesses start. It is an incubator of sorts. So not only do we have food and bev coming from downtown to Midtown, but we also want to make sure the cottage industries like Gernson Leather, who started in their garage, but now they have a storefront on South Avenue West. We want to see more of that. We want to see more maker spaces and live workspaces, and that's all in the master plan. And we work closely with the Missoula Redevelopment Agency and the Missoula Economic Partnership to work on implementing those goals of small business owners having a more affordable place to get their start and grow in Midtown.
You gave a couple of examples of this earlier in the show about parking lots, better parking availability, things like that. But the heart and soul of it, compared to other parts of town, and I know you might be a little biased because you are the executive director of the thing, but compared to other parts of town, what do you consider some of the Midtown area's greatest strengths right now?
The greatest strengths, I believe, is that we haven't been as confined for space. We are able to take places that have been vacant, we as in the private sector, mind you, but there is such rapid, exciting reinvestment happening on the last open parcels that haven't been redeveloped yet. A lot of that is becoming housing and multifamily housing. The day will come where I arrived 22 years ago and there were a lot of vacant lots still around Missoula. The day will come where a lot of the vacant lots that are the fields of weeds become the field of dreams, and they are multifamily housing units. And that has already happened. We are wanting to see more of that, and part of the Midtown Master Plan is it has in it, and if you go to midtownmasterplan.com, there is spec housing created for all different housing levels, as we wanted to show developers that every type of housing, after an analysis, it turns out, every type of housing will work well in Midtown. We have the numbers to support senior housing, multifamily, single family, condos. There are all different types of housing, and proving that it's all feasible and we're ready to go. Mind you, we can't control the interest rates and the costs of development right now.
Yeah.
We do know that there are some exciting big projects that will come out of the ground as soon as the market stabilizes. But that Casa Loma project on Sussex and South Avenue, we're really excited about that. That is going to allow reinvestment all around that area north of the fairgrounds. That will come out of the ground here soon by Blue Line Development. And these are 100-unit developments that are going to allow more Missoulians to thrive in Midtown near services and retail.
Yeah. Well, and of course, I have to ask, what areas are there in which you'd like to see improvement?
Well, I have to bring up parking, as you mentioned earlier, because when we did the feasibility study before doing the master plan, we asked leaders and residents and businesses, what do you like most about Midtown? And the overwhelming first answer was, we love that there's ample parking, that there are these great parking lots that we're not seeing elsewhere in the city. And then we said, what do you dislike the most? And everyone said there's too much asphalt in parking lots. And
Too much
that's
parking.
yes, that is Missoula in some ways. The push and pull of what we like, and it also is annoying an eyesore, right? What we like can also be an eyesore. But we are working on how do you balance the fact that it is easy for motorists to get in and out of their favorite places, the places they frequent in Midtown. And whether that's you live up in the South Hills and you're grabbing milk on the way home from an employment center north of the river, or whether you are living in Midtown and the need for more multimodal ease, like Brooks doesn't work for anybody at 5 o'clock. A biker can't bike near Brooks. A pedestrian can't cross it, and it backs up all the way down Brooks. Same thing with Russell Reserve. We have these traffic issues. So how do we make it work for cars, cyclists, pedestrians, and the bus service? We see as Missoula grows, and we're estimated to increase population by 35,000 people in the next 10 years. How do we move people around Missoula more quickly? We are so blessed in Missoula to have such a strong urban transit district. Mountain Line sets us apart from other cities around the state, and they are trying to catch up. Because we have a public bus system, we do have less traffic congestion, even if Reserve and Brooks are going to be crazy this weekend when you're trying to go up to the lake or get downtown. We are really blessed and working so closely. We have the executive director of Mountain Line, the general manager, is on our board. We work really closely with the bus system, and whether you ride it or not, we need a strong bus system as the folks that do ride it free up spaces for cars on the road.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate here on News Talk KGVO. My guest is Melanie Brock, Executive Director of the Missoula Midtown Association. I wanted to make sure we left a fair amount of time for this. You were on. It's been 22 months since you were on, and as far as the plan is concerned, a lot has happened in those past 22 months. But you're no doubt always having to look long term. What does the Missoula Midtown Master Plan currently entail?
The biggest piece to it, and I've been mentioning this about multimodal transportation,
right,
is the Transform Brooks Connect Midtown project that Mountain Line and Missoula Redevelopment Agency are doing. That's not technically a Midtown Association project, but we are serving on the community committee and following the design suggestions. They, in the next 2 months probably, will be unveiling the design. The goal of that has been transit-oriented development. So basically, development all along Brooks corridor where you are making it easier for people to move throughout the corridor, but also getting the bus onto Brooks. Right now, Mountain Line only is on Brooks for maybe a block or two to get over to the mall. It's a highway not designed for bus transportation. There aren't bus pullouts, there aren't bus stations.
Yeah.
So there is talk of a Midtown transfer station, and this idea of can Midtown get the same 15-minute Bolt service as downtown and you see just south of the river? Can we increase the frequency of bus service in Midtown? And then you could hop on a bus by Southgate Mall for a meeting you have downtown and be back without an hour bus ride and 2 transfers, which often is the case right now. Having to go to the transfer station, having to switch buses, having that continuation of the Bolt rapid transit system from downtown to Midtown is the dream. But how are we going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
We are not going to do it by a road diet. That's often a misconception. Like let's decrease lanes of traffic. Good news to many. Brooks will always be a highway. MDT controls it. It is.
That's right, yeah.
It will always
Yeah.
be a highway. We cannot slow down car traffic to the point that it also makes car traffic inefficient. But they've been studying for 18 months with the grant that we got from the Federal Transit Authority. How do we crack this nut and get the bus on Brooks? So that design, and it's all on engagemissoula.com if you want to see information on that. Our partners will be releasing the draft design, and they'll need feedback on it. The great thing about how transparent everything has been, everyone has the opportunity to give your voice and opinion. And just having gone through that Midtown master plan process, we really do listen. We absolutely listen to what the public thinks and feels about these ideas, because it's our Missoula, and we are already light years ahead on preparing for the growth that is coming, and we can't stop it. The word is out that this is the greatest city on earth, but what we can do is work together to make it work for everyone.
Any endeavors you've been involved with, Melanie, so far that have brought you some extra satisfaction?
I think we're all really excited right now about what could possibly be happening south of Southgate Mall. It's a project the city is calling Southgate Crossing, and those are the beach and Southgate Mall Lambros properties, basically some of the last fields, undeveloped, no infrastructure in them, no water, massive power lines that are going to need to be buried. Basically what's left of the old Hamilton lumber mill. Right now, the city is in due diligence looking at purchasing that and then putting in the infrastructure, selling it to become what looks like will be this mixed use neighborhood that we've always dreamt of for the Southgate Triangle. Housing, retail, possibly services for residents, a new park. So that's really exciting, and that's not something that the Midtown Association Board had a hand in. That was many, many, many years of work with Missoula Economic Partnership, Mayor's Office, and Missoula Redevelopment Agency, but that is part of the visioning of the master plan, and it absolutely checks multiple pieces. Who wouldn't want to live near a mall if you don't want to drive all the time and you want to be able to walk and go to your doctor and get a great burger at Double K and ice cream at Big Dipper? That's the sort of projects that we're so excited to see more of. So that's an early, what looks like is going to be a success story. That's a long process, and that'll be a process that City Council and MEP and MRA tackle.
Yeah.
And we are just there being part of the public processes, but it's all part of visioning of the master plan. We want these livable employment centers where you can do a little bit of everything and not have to get on your car.
When you were describing a couple of those areas, what popped into my head while you were talking there is there's a set of railroad tracks. The railroad tracks, they run along Southgate Mall, and they cross Brook Street and go south into the Bitter. I'm just curious, do you happen to know, do those railroad tracks ever get used anymore?
They do not, but they are still owned by Montana Rail Link. We have talked extensively with them. The Bitterroot Trail is right next to it, and there's a super exciting project that's about to start. The Bitterroot Trail will be lit from Reserve Street all the way up to downtown.
Wow.
So that Bitterroot Trail has hundreds of commuters who bike to Community Medical Center from Franklin to the Fort neighborhood and sees a lot of traffic. So making that safer and more accessible is incredible. That reminds me of a huge success story, the Mary Avenue project. Bisecting the trail and the train tracks at the mall at Mary Avenue was the first east-west connectivity built in decades. And that was a project in the last 5 years.
That's great. I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
Missoula Real Estate Today has been presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate on News Talk KGVO. My guest has been Melanie Brock, Executive Director of the Missoula Midtown Association. You did a spectacular job. If people would like to find out more about your association, what do they do?
MidtownMissoula.com or the MidtownMasterPlan.com are our two websites that have all of this information.
All right. I'm glad you could come in again. I hope it's sooner than 22 months the next time.
Right. We have to do that.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck and Becky Peterson, the Beck and Beck team at Windermere Real Estate. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.